Hello, YouTube viewers, and thank you for those of you who have deigned to join us, chosen to join us today. Feel very privileged that you have taken the time to be here. And yes, for those of us who normally see us on Facebook, Lottie Hearn TV, Live with Lottie, you can catch us at 1:30 today, GST, Greenwich summertime, when we Facebook watch that party later, but finding out that, hey, what's it happening like on Fay.We? Because my guest today is a very special lady. And when she invited me to be on her podcast, I suddenly thought, hey, hold on a second. Denise, you want to do more live streams and more videos and more virtual summits and speaking, because she's a fabulous speaker, by the way. And I have never actually hosted a podcast before. So we thought we'd kill two things in one go and kind of wrap it up and multi-stream, multi-purpose, multi-platform, all from one big input, and that being the live show, all with lifestyle presenting, video on the go. Woohoo! Let's check it. So let me take that poster off here, and I can welcome everybody formally to the show. Live with Lottie is all about your confidence on camera. How can you create your lifestyle presenting, whether it be for video, for virtual meetings, for webinar training, or for creating your own live shows like this one? What I always say is that everything in our live world is live. This is lifestyle presenting. Just like you're having a board meeting in the office, just like you're sitting at your desk chatting on the phone to somebody, just like you're standing on a stage speaking to an audience of hundreds or even thousands. You get one chance to make that impression and get that message across. But you know what the best thing is with live and video and virtual? You can always record another one. If you don't like it, you can take it down. Once it's pre-recorded, it becomes a video recording, but this is all lifestyle presenting. Because my new way of looking at it is it's all next-gen learning. We're going to have a chat with my guest and I about why this is so important. I've been doing shows about Co-Vid-eoing, collaborative, connected, co-working, and doing it in the quickest, easiest possible way. So my guest today, I have brought her on. She is, just you wait to hear her story, folks. She's not just a fantastic stage speaker, professional speaker. She gets paid to speak on stages all around the country and internationally, I think, as well. She'll correct me if I'm wrong there. She's based here in Ireland. She has been in the world of marketing for absolutely, well, not, I would say eons, but that gives away her age. And how old would you like her to be? But my guest today, Denise Fay, is of Achieve Marketing, and DeniseFay.com is where you'll find her. She has started her own podcast up. She's been looking at ways to connect with people who are finding this tough in the COVID times. Well, let's just say tough times. Any time in business is a tough time. So Denise, I wanted to get on today to give her tips. She's a marathon runner. She's written books. She's a business award winner, nominee. She's just phenomenal. So let me just go whoop, and bring her on right now. Bring her sound on and say hello, and drum roll for Denise Fay. She's on in 3, 2, 1. Woohoo! Hey, Denise.
Hello.
Intro for you.
I can't even speak.
I love it when I stun them all to silence, folks. If you see me on YouTube for the first time, I have got videos down below. And Denise, do you have a YouTube channel as well?
I do have a YouTube channel. It is only small and there's not too many videos. But yeah, if you search for Denise Fay, then I'm there. I don't even know if I have a name for the channel. So yes, Lottie, there is lots for me to learn from you, and you have, and I know that I've certainly come to the right place. And I know when I actually talked with you about you coming onto my podcast, and then you switched it around, I was like, I'm not sure that was my idea.
I know it's my cunning little way, and as I thought, it then gave me the idea for the title for our show today, Denise, the why multi-purpose video, virtual and live streams. Because I thought what we could do is first half of the show, we can do a live with Lottie, which is my live stream show. And in the second half of the show, Denise is going to take over as host, and we're going to cover off her podcast. We're recording it live, but the great thing is with the tool I'm using, Be Live, which has got the lovely images and the logos and everything else up there, then we can strip the audio off and Denise can use that for a podcast. She can have the whole thing or edit it down. So have you thought yourself, can you multi-purpose your live shows or multi-purpose your training videos? So Denise, you're in the marketing world. Let's come to you and say why right now is video and virtual and live so important?
You know what, when we had that conversation about the multi-purpose, I just want to go back to that. I think it's a great idea because I probably would be guilty of doing one piece of content, then another piece of content, then another piece of content, and then you're kind of pulling your hair out going, oh my God, how am I going to do all of this, right? So this
is time, isn't it?
Absolutely. So I think this is going to be great for you to show us all how we can make, multiple uses of one piece of content. But to go back to your question, absolutely, this is kind of a tough time for a lot of business owners. And well, it's interesting, right, Lottie, because on one hand, you've got people who are still doing really well and they're getting extra business in. And then on the other hand, you've got people who are struggling and who are kind of thinking, what's the next step? Where do I take this? And it's going to be a changed world. We've talked about this before ourselves. This is not going to be a new normal. The things are going to change after this. You've been predicting the live video and live conferences for ages, that's the route that we're all going to go. And so last week, I think last week I woke up and I thought, right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to use the lockdown to plan the growth and future of our business. So I decided last week I was going to do 3 free webinars on how to grow your business. So the first one, we talked about adaptability and how we can take advantage of opportunities. And this is an opportunity that certainly popped up for sure, right? And then the next one was communicate your message. Happy to talk about that. And then the other one, pretty much what you do, Lottie, so well, is like build a community around you so that you can build a community of raving fans. So it's not just you that's just talking about you, that literally you've got something in common, a shared language, a shared interest, and then the ability to communicate. So really that's what I've been talking to business owners about in the last little while, so that we can, because this will end at some point, so that when we get ready to head out of the blocks, as I say, because obviously I use so many running analogies, but when we get out of the blocks, literally we'll be ready to go. And if not beforehand, that's not saying that you stop now and then move on, but that you use this time, pretty much like what you're doing with your COVID videos, that you use this time and make the most of the time, even though it is hard. And you know what, we have all up and down days. Like some days are really, really good, I'm so positive. Other days I'm like, oh gosh, what another dinner I have to do? How many dinners do you have to cook in a week? So there are those realistic or practicalities that have to be done. So I'm not saying that it's all sunshine and light, but what we all kind of need to do is put our little thinking caps on, work together, and we can all get through this. A rising tide raises all ships.
Myself, that's tip number 1 when you're doing lives. If you've got a separate microphone, like as what I have, my lovely Yeti Blue, remember to unmute yourself. Everybody always calls it doing a Lottie. So Denise, I know I'm just referring to my notes, folks, here, because we always like to do note planning. That is part of the prep for getting set to go live. Denise, your plan the future of your business, how to use the lockdown to grow your business, could just as easily, I was thinking when I was reading those points that I'm going to get you to knuckle into in a moment, it could just as easily be any tough times, really, couldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just like the pandemic and that we're all kind of facing, but it literally is when we all have, I suppose you've got choice. We all have choice in how we react to things. And that's how one of the things that I wanted to, one of the first webinars that I talked about was adaptability. And how small mindset shifts could really just change little things in your mind. Well, obviously in your mind, but like that could be the difference between like a good day and a bad day, growing your business or not growing your business, taking advantage of opportunity or not taking advantage of opportunity. Because when we like using this, like why we need multi-purpose. So if you use that as an example, which is super, right? I came to you, said, listen, I think, you know what, because my community, I want to introduce them to you because you are the lady for like, you know, introducing confidence on camera. And so you got so many wisdom and pearls of wisdom. And then you said, why don't we just do like, you know, do this? And I'm like, oh, panic stations, right? Panic stations. I'll be honest about that. But at the same time, that was an opportunity that I said, you know what, what's the worst that can happen? That I could go like this, you know, and
well, Denise, there's a couple of quotes that you have, and one of the reasons that I love what you do so much is I'm going to get you, before we get into all your tips about all this specifically, and your marketing tips and the questions of why video and live is so important, and so why we do therefore need to multi-purpose, time-saving, co-video, collaborative connected video that I'm always talking about. I love your quote. You won't run a marathon in last year's battered runners. So why would you use the same approach in business? And what you just said, well, I'm doing silly things in the background and reeling you in to come on to a live stream.
Yeah.
Why would you not change? Everybody's starting to with, and as you said, thank you for that. This is something I predicted a couple of years ago, that we all said in the live stream world since 2015 that if you weren't doing live by 2019, you've already missed the boat. And actually a friend, Ross Brand, does his live stream predictions every year for the last 4 or 5 years. And I've been part of that. And this year, again, it was big business is going to change everything. These tools are going to change everything, which is why virtual meetings, webinar trainings, online trainings, anytime you sit in front of a camera and chat to people, that is a definition of live. We call it live because I know there's a lot of confusions. And whether, have you found that in the marketing world, Denise?
Absolutely. You know what? And that was one of the things I was going to talk to you about, and I will. It's like, that's a whole new language, right? So I think we were talking about, it is almost like a live language because people say, are you Zooming or are you living or what are we doing? So it's all this new language that we all kind of have to get our head around. And I think what you're doing now is really helping people just to get comfortable, because I think for what I like, you know, for what I understand, like, you know, when I talked, because one of the trends, I suppose, that I had said that they've been in this year, video marketing. And so that was all great, but like people are afraid of, like, you know, do I record? Do I hit live? Like, you know, oh my God, how do I do that publish button? Oh, if I put the publish button, what happens? And if I go like this, or what's the story? So there is that different language of, is this video marketing? Is this live? Is this like training? How do we do all this kind of stuff? So yes, it's a completely new language, and I think you need to kind of translate it, what you're actually doing. So once you hit the publish button, it's live.
Yeah, but actually, whether it's publish or whether it is using a tool like this, you've mentioned Zoom. There's Be Live. There's oh gosh, there's so many of them. We can live stream straight to YouTube. One thing I've noticed is that Facebook are restricting using other tools, which is understandable because Facebook want to make money and they want to make you market. YouTube do the same thing with their advertisers. So it's getting more and more restrictive, more tough to be seen in Facebook. Now, I know that you help people. You used to help people with that, Denise, because basically you did all round marketing for everybody. So can we go back now, seeing as we've tipped it on a little bit of a head and we've kind of heard what Denise is going to be sharing with us, some tips. They will be coming up, folks, and it's not wait a little bit and then she's not going to share them. It's not that 5 years ago marketing type of video shows that we do. You will get some practical learning because I have learned so much from this woman. But I want you, Denise, now to, if you could, can you go back and share a little bit of your story? How did you get to be the expert, the stage speaker, the podcaster, the person who's in the newspaper in Ireland quite regularly, and your book awards and everything else? So tell us a bit about your story, first of all. And while you're chatting, I might share some photos in the background.
Oh, wonderful stuff. Well, thank you, Lottie. My story starts, I suppose, and I will give away my age. Like back in, you know, when you're a young kid and you leave school, like it was 97. I finished college, I should say, and I wanted to be a solicitor. And but there was a long gap for your apprenticeship. There was a year, and I was like, well, what am I going to do in a year while I'm waiting for this? So I applied for a couple of software jobs. So I just literally picked up one of those books, you know, where they're looking for computer graduates, because I figured if they're looking for computer graduates, they're going to be looking for business graduates. And so I sent a couple of letters on spec, and one of them was Datalex. It is an Irish software company. I started working for them in 97 because the MD was quite impressed with the approach I took. And so it's quite logical. So sometimes I surprise myself at my logicalness. But anyway, so I start with that. And then, you know, I got to have a job in marketing. Now, I would have dismissed marketing in college. I have to be honest and say that. I thought, marketing. But then when I actually got working in it, then I realized, actually, you know what, there's so many facets to marketing, and it's really, really interesting. So fast forward a couple of years, I kind of thought, you know what, I've done this. I've learned as much as I can, as any 24-year-old thinks. And so I went looking for another job, worked in a corporate environment, got headhunted by the company that would later be bought by Sabre. Sabre is a company based out of Dallas. It's based for travel. And you know what, that was just a baptism of fire. It was really, really good. I started doing my master's of business studies in international marketing while working for Sabre. We had September 11th while working for Sabre. And then also in the year 2000, which does age me, right? I have to be honest and say that, but that's when I wrote my very first training material, how to market your website. And it went to travel agents. Sabre was working with travel agents. They were trying to encourage people to book online. So Sabre is a GDS, is a global distribution system. So generally what happens, people went into a travel agent, they did all the typing stuff, found the flights, and then booked it. But then the emergence of the internet, like Travelocity and Expedia, they were big players at the time. So so Sabre, what they wanted to do was actually get like all their travel agency companies to have a presence online. So boom, I wrote my very first booklet, how to market your website online. And then that was really good, really exciting times. But September 11 happened, the industry went like this. And so again, interesting times. And then in 2005, I got made redundant. And like that, I suppose the times that we're in now, I was like, geez, I don't know what I'm going to do. So do you know what I did? I set up my own business. I thought, sure, of course, people need to have marketing services. So what I didn't realize at the time was that I had corporate experience and a lot of, you know, so you've got corporate experience up here in marketing, and then you've got like small businesses down here. And I'm not saying that they're down here, they're just kind of poles apart. So I thought, yeah, all of these needed. So there was a baptism of fire. I made a lot of mistakes that I was able to learn from. But then in 2009, again, it seems to follow me. Anyway, in 2009, I woke up in January, Lottie, I have to say, and literally I got phone call after phone call saying, it's not you, it's me. We're breaking up. So because I was working as an outsourced marketing agency at the time, and I hadn't really positioned my own value to them. I hadn't positioned my value that I was an investment in their company, as opposed to they saw that I was just a cost. So that was a huge lesson, and it's a lesson that I've carried forward. Again, it's great to be able to bring that to like my own client base and my own community now, to say, listen, we are like, you know, marketing is an investment. It's not a cost, but it's the way you do it. So then in 2000...
And Denise, if I could stop you there, because I wanted to show this picture for everybody. I love the variety of what you do. Let me just hide hide your website there. I love the fact, Denise, you do things like plan the future of your business. You do Denise Fay marketing advice. I love the quotes that share one achievement with me, big or small, and your Tuesday tips and your Monday motivation tips that you send out. You really do, and what you do in your podcast that you can see top right there, Let's Talk Marketing, you really, really do cover all bases for everybody. So, continue a little bit, but I want to also add in, because I want to show one of the other photos.
Yeah. So listen, that was kind of like the background. And I suppose it's only when you go back looking at the breadcrumbs of your life that you kind of start to see That's really what I want people to think about, that you start to see like your own values and your own passion that you can actually bring into, I suppose, your marketing message going forward. So then with that, I set up Achieve Marketing, and and then I had no business. So then what I did was I focused on what I was really good at, was writing and the written word. So since then I've learned like the art and science of written communication. And so there's one of the confidence keys. So that was a little booklet, and there's my book there. Yeah, of course, I love
the book, 31 days.
And so, so that was actually, I wrote that back in 2010, 2011, I think that was, and really gave people an understanding of like, the importance of content and the importance of writing. And it's interesting because that was one of the things that people were willing to invest in at the time back in 2010, 11 was written communication, where they weren't in marketing. And then people now say to me, you know what, written communication isn't so important anymore. But my response to them is just look at the text that you need, or a script that you need, or the notes that you need for doing a live show like this. It doesn't come just like, like that. You have to prepare, you have to do your research, you have to put your notes down, and that all comes down to words. So literally since then I wrote the book, wrote another book. Then I got the courage to do a TEDx talk because I had an idea in my mind, and did my first TEDx. I haven't done my second yet, but I plan to. And you're the TEDx media coach for teenagers, which is amazing. And so I did that one, kind of jumped out of my comfort zone, and that kind of launched me to kind of think, you know what, I am good enough to stand up on stage and talk about marketing. I love marketing. I could talk about it all day. And so then I joined the PSA, and then so now I do speaking as part of my business. And then I met you. You're muted. You're doing a Lottie.
Lottie again. That's how easy it is. Oh, always doing a lot. Hey, it's my first YouTube stream. I'm actually trying to do all the production. I'm trying to scroll through photos. I'm trying to post things up here. Hence, we've ended up with a different 4-shot now rather than a 2-shot. And you can see Denise down there doing a marathon runs. How many have you done now, Denise?
9.
And I find it tough to wobble down to the end of the pier for me, but it's all very good. Now, Denise, the other thing is, because I know with a lot of your marketing, you do a lot of fundraising. Like you work with your local TEDx. You founded or you co-founded TEDx Drogheda, didn't you?
No, I just got involved in. So the first TEDx was the one I spoke at, and then to give back after, like, me being a speaker on the TEDx Drogheda, I then helped out then the next year, and I think the next year and the next year.
It's brilliant. I love it, because I think that one of the key aims for us as professional speakers is that we have the high value clients that enable us to do things like this, and to be able to work with teens and help speakers out for TEDx's. For myself, working with the Professional Speakers Association as the president of that, and I know you're big. You've been on the Network Dublin, Network Ireland committee for many years, and doing their social media. And I know you're helping out Barbara with the Professional Speaking Association with their social media. So that's the give back. So let's get on now, Barbara. Let me hide some of these images from the screen. Start chatting about what and why are the top things. I want you to go into growing your business and planning the future of your business, whether it's lockdown or whether it's just tough times, and go more into the tips that you've got for adaptability, communicating your message, and building a community of raving fans. Can you give us some easy hows of how we can actually do that, please, Denise?
Well, I shall try my best now, and please cut me off, because obviously I told you that I will talk an awful lot about marketing. But some of the things, well, you know what, let me kind of start from the outset, and you all kind of start at the beginning. And the beginning of where you need to start is your message. And I always say a confused mind never buys. Confused mind never sells either. So if you're not clear of what you're selling, then nobody will buy. Because if I know I have been to networking events, and I've got like people, I look over their shoulder and they're looking over my shoulder, and they're going, who are they going to next to? Like, that's because they're not interested. And some people don't have to be interested in what you do for them, but you kind of have to think about what you could be interested for somebody else. So what you need to do is kind of like, capture somebody's attention. And that really comes down to your message. And so that's one of the things I really like to help people focus on. What is it that makes them different? And I really do believe that when we kind of emerge out of this pandemic, that we will all have that we will all be, it'll be a changed world, and people are going to be looking for something different, and difference is really where it's going to be at. So like, I know you and I both work in, say, saturated marketplaces. There's loads of marketers, there's loads of video coaches, there's loads of accountants, there's loads of solicitors, but what makes you so different? And that's really what you need to kind of jot down. And if you can start working on what makes you different, and we work through values, like it could be from your values, but also it could be from, like, and I just mentioned it on that, like on that webinar, it's like, it could literally be something that would, let's think about what your ideal day would look like. Like, so many people think, and they need to start at 9 and finish at 5. And then that's what other people do. And so what if you said to yourself, you know what, I'm a morning person. And this is more or less applying to, say, service providers. And if you do one-to-one coaching or one-to-one mentoring or things like that, could be other appointments. But anyway, what if you were a morning person, you know what, and say, you know what, I do my best work in the morning time. I want to do in the morning time. So how about in your message, you actually start saying to people, you know what, not everybody gets up at, like, starts work at 9 o'clock. If you start work your day at, say, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., I'm a morning person, let's chat first thing in the morning time. Well, that's a different message that you're putting out there compared to, say, like, love to meet you, call me, etc. So that makes you a little bit different. So I want you to start thinking about what your idea, that could be one element. It doesn't suit everybody, but you could look at your day, what an ideal day looks like for you. And then you can actually incorporate that into your message. So that will be something that I would definitely tell people to tell people to do. Definitely look at your values, look at, what makes you so different. Again, it could be just something like your location. It could be something that would be a process that you do, an approach that you do. So we all do things differently. And that's why people would be attracted, say, more to me than to, say, somebody else. And there's one thing then, Lottie, if I can hold the stage for just a few minutes longer, what I want people to think about is the people that they want to attract, but also the people that they want to repel. So I think that you're, like, a lot of business owners like me have actually had a lot of tire kickers. And I've spoken to people about it, like, tire kickers coming out to you and saying, hey, gosh, Denise, totally want to meet you, totally want to have a cup of coffee. And all they really want to do is pick your brain. Now, we've talked earlier on, I give back. Those webinars that I did are, like, completely free, and they'll be free then for everybody. I'll start promoting them, and then people can take advantage of them too. But so we all do something nice to give back, but there's people who will always kind of, like, want to feed off of you. And then there's, like, and then they become, and if they do become clients, that client that always just makes you just, like, feel, ugh. You look at the phone and you see them calling, you go, oh, Jesus, it's them that's calling. So what I want you to think about in your message, and it's a way to do it, is to repel people as well as attract people. And just a simple way, I wrote a little brochure for a cottage, a self-catering cottage. And one of the things I had said on it was, like, as you sip your black lungo and your Earl Grey first thing in the morning, you'll savor the atmosphere, something like that. So what that it did intentionally was, like, if somebody didn't know what, say, a black lungo was or an Earl Grey, then that wouldn't attract the people that I wanted to attract to the cottage. But it's the people who would have a little, black lungo or a triple, macchiato or whatever. Then that's the people that you want to attract. So there's subtle ways in your message that you can do that to repel people that you want, and then to attract the right people. Does that make sense? Doing a Lottie.
Third time's the gem. Do it once, it's going to happen. Do it twice, it's going to happen again. So it'll always happen 3 times, and then your brain remembers, which is why I always say to people, whenever you're creating scripts, write them down by hand, because that time in doing it. So actually that kind of links into the question I want to ask you, Denise, is because everybody talks about the messages to attract people, but very few people talk about that repelling. And I loved what you said just then about, if you don't know what an Earl Grey is, or if you don't know what a macchiato lungo is, then you're not necessarily that's a very obvious one. But can you relate that to, say, people who are now having to work from home and who are having to get creative? but wanting to repel those, as you called them, tire kickers. I call the time wasters, the radiator grabbers, the heat grabbers. What would be some top tips to kind of help? Is there a way to block those time wasters, really, I suppose, in your marketing?
You know, now you're putting me on the spot, right? But I think actually the key to actually blocking people or to repelling people or to attracting people is literally to get back into, like, you know, being honest and being in a place of authenticity. And I know we kind of throw those words around willy-nilly, but if you can actually well, I think particularly now people are more understanding of doing a lottie, right? So if you are, like, you know, doing a lottie and you're kind of talking, so people are more understanding. If I, like, make a mistake on a technical webinar like I did the other day, people are more understanding. So the people who aren't understanding, well, you're immediately repelling them straight away. So I think people are not going to be interested in that. So definitely, if you stand in a place where you own your own message and that you're not copying somebody else and that you literally are in a place of where you know your message and you're very clear, then you will repel the right people. And you'll repel the wrong people. You know what I mean? What am I saying? So you'll repel the people that you don't want. So what you want to focus in on is actually attracting the people that you do want while subtly repelling the people that you don't. So yes, the coffee was a small little example, but there's plenty other ways you could say. And if you wanted to say, you could start saying, like, these are the people that I want to work with. And so for me, like, you know, I kind of have gone through this process, Lottie, where I kind of work now with high performance, high achievers. Now, they don't have to be like running multi-million-dollar practices or agencies or something like that. But if somebody is willing to put the work in, to do the hard work and to achieve, well, then that's the people that I want to work with and the people I want to help. So that means then if I keep putting the words like high performance and achievement into my language, then that will frighten people away. And that's fine, because that will frighten the people away that may not be working or may not work with me and may not see me and see the value that I have, as well as somebody who would. And that goes back again to, like, I talk about value, and value is the competitive advantage that you do have over somebody else. And that's the bit where people will kind of start raving about and talking about. So my advice would be to attract. My advice would be to start focusing on who you want to attract, because then that energy will actually bring more people to you as opposed to repelling. But kind of think about repelling at the same time.
Busy typing and trying to write down all your notes so that they appear on screen for everybody. One of the ones that popped up there, Denise, was I love that focus on who you want to attract. And again, one of your quotes that you had on one of your messages is just do it, which is why I kind of did do the fish hook on you and reel you in to do this with me live. But I came not in my usual orange. I came in a kind of, I don't have any pink, Denise, so I came in a blue. I came in a blue for you today.
Yes, blue is one of my colors for sure.
Exactly, that's why, because blue is one of your colors. So that's why I did it. So it's small, subtle things, folks, that in a live stream or video you can do to focus on who you want to attract. I want to attract people who like the orange. I have the orange in the branding. I'm wearing blue because it's one of Denise's colors. I've done the research to be able to interview her and to be able to, for her to bring her best and her most helpful tips for you, my Confidence on Camera viewers, Live with Lottie viewers. But Denise, there was one of them in the middle that I loved about, I think it was about the repelling, again, coming back to the repelling. No, it wasn't. I know what it was. It was the repetition, because I've been told I use too many hashtags. I've got lots of different hashtags, and I know it's a very teen thing to do. And yes, I do have a young market in some places too, with the next gen cross-generational learning. We got to cross the generations to get the learning happening. And that's what we're doing at TEDx as well, with our theme this year at TEDx Dun Laoghaire on wisdom. Like knowledge and wisdom, and where we find the wisdom, where does it come from? But so therefore, with the text, because you were helping people with their marketing writing as well. Like, how much is too much, and what does actually make easy reading?
Whoa, okay.
I know, I'm throwing her in the deep end here, and then I'm going to come back to her tips and new tips. But it's just because I'm learning at the same time, folks.
Well, you know what, the one thing that I will say for like making in terms of writing and making things easy would be to use you quite a bit. It's a really magic word that if you have you in your content, and if we keep mentioning you over and over, that people start to see they see themselves in you. So I'll say, if you do this work, you will really achieve, and you will achieve by doing this, this, and this. And so then people kind of start putting themselves in that picture. You will have more freedom, you will have more flexibility, you will have more leads, you will have more success. So then people will start seeing themselves. So if you're going to take any tip in terms of writing, put you in your content for sure. And repetition, yes, use the same. Like, I think, look, there's a school of thought that will say repetition, too much repetition is bad. But if you want the same words to be over and over and over, that you want people to say, like, a confused mind never buys. I'll say that quite a bit. You can't run the same marathon in the same pair of battered shoes. So say that often enough, because sometimes it takes, like, the research was like, this is old research, so it has to have changed now, but it takes 7 times for people to see your name before they'll pick up the phone or they'll take an action. So sometimes it takes 7 times for people to know and understand that, like, hashtag confidence on camera is definitely associated with Lottie. Hashtag live with Lottie is associated with Lottie. And so I think that so repetition, I wouldn't be against it. I would be against it if you're using it, if that's just the only thing that you're talking about. So don't be doing that in your writing. And then in terms of your writing, you really need to, which is a valuable one, which I should have started with, is that you always write for your audience. You write for your reader. You don't write for yourself. So while you might be interested in writing prose, and you might be interested in writing about the wonderfulness of marketing and all those kind of buzzwords, the reality is that people don't really want to read those kind of buzzwords. They want to read, or maybe they do. So you need to write for your audience. So in all things pink, but I have colors, other colors, as you said, blue, and I have red, and I have, like, green. So it's all different colors, Lottie, but I have this, like, fabulous pair of pink Manolos that I will use as an example. So I'll say, I know, I bought them when I was pregnant. Nothing was fitting me other than shoes. So I brought, like, these, like,
Having a baby for, Denise.
I know, yeah, these Carrie Bradshaw, like, Manolos. And I love them, but I'll use them in pictures, and I'll say, listen, this, you write in your reader's shoes, put yourself in your reader's shoes, and then that's how you write. So they would be kind of real, very quick tips, I suppose, if you're going to be writing for your audience.
One quick question from me there. I'm sorry, one more, just one more question. See, I love to pick their brains for you folks. I tease it all out of everybody's brains for you folks. The repetition, you kind of briefly touched there on that repetition can help give you ownership, but you mentioned a while ago about quoting people, and touch on, please, because it's so important to me as a professional speaker, the ethics of ownership and not copying.
Look, talking to the converted here for sure. I think when you come, like, when you see a quote and you need to attribute it to somebody else, so you need to say that this is actually, like, confidence on camera belongs to, like, my good friend Lottie, or my good friend Lottie has often told me about, the idea of confidence on camera. So that's so important. You just cannot copy other people's, information, because that's their copyright. That's, like, what they trade on. And then that's, what their wisdom, I suppose, to use your word, Lottie, and that's where, like, all our hard work, because if we are experts and mentors and coaches and authors and speakers, we just don't stand on stage and actually just say, here I am, right? There's so much research that goes on behind all the stuff that we ever do. And then, like, and then, so we have to do reading, we have to do writing, we have to do research, and then it all kind of comes into us, and then we channel it out in the way we can say it. And so while, like, some ideas may not be, innovative ideas, or, like, or a different idea, but if you're using somebody then, or you're being inspired by somebody, why would you not, like, say, I've been inspired? Like, I don't understand it. It's like, some Monday motivation quotes. Every Monday, I will always, like, quote somebody who's different. Somebody like that might, somebody might be introduced to it. I'd never say that, like, right on my wall, just an example. Marianne Williamson, you know, it's our deepest fear. So I will always say that, and I will always reference Marianne Williamson. So I think that if you are going to quote something from somebody, then you need to say it's who it's from. And you could say something like, you know, my good friend, my mentor, something like that. Yeah, there's all those little ones. There's Arthur Ashe. Start where you are, use what you do what you can. Would I like to have been able to say that? 100%. But I didn't. So he did. And then so I could actually take that and kind of put it into my own, like, you know, words, and it will be different and it will be paraphrased, but different. But no, I would never take Mr. Arthur Ashe's words and use them as my own. I think that would be just so wrong.
I think the phrase I was taught back in the National Speakers Association in Australia, which is now PSA Australia as well, was there are a couple of things to remember. If somebody copies you, it's a lovely form of flattery, because obviously you must be doing something right for other people to want to copy you. But then also, so therefore, don't get stroppy about it. Just be polite about it, because I learned in the TV world, up to 10 people have exactly the same idea as you somewhere in the world at exactly the same time. But it's that's why I love those tips and why I wanted to get them all down as lower thirds here for us, folks, because they are so important and so simple, really, so easy, Denise. But they're logical, but we so often forget them. And
the thing about common sense, sometimes it's not so common.
Exactly. And whoever said that quote, we haven't got a clue where that
is.
Nobody knows. It was probably somebody's grandma somewhere along, or grandpa somewhere.
That definitely sounds like a mammy thing, doesn't it?
Yes, it does sound like a mammy, an Irish mammy, or a mummy in England, or a mom in America. So Denise, right, before we finish up this half of the show with me hosting, and we pass it on to you to host your side of things. Now, the plan, the future of your business, how to use lockdown to grow your business. Give me a quick burst on where can people find the 3 webinars. Remember, Denise is going to be coaching you about adaptability, how to communicate your message. So I'm sure a lot of these tips she's shared with us today are going to be in there, and how to build a community of raving fans. I'm not going to get her to go in depth on those, because I'd rather that you go to her webinar, because she does fabulous webinars. So Denise, let me get rid of this lower third here, and you can update us on where we can find, and I'll put a picture of you up while we do it, where we can find the webinar. I'm assuming the first place they go to is Denises.com.
Yeah, at the moment, we haven't actually uploaded them yet. So now, because we're all kind of going by obviously I wanted to get the content out there to the people who signed up. So we have, so it will be on Denises.com, and then it will also be on all the social channels. So Denise Fay online and on Facebook, and then Twitter, Denise Fay. So anywhere really you can find Denise Fay, like that's where they'll be. So, but they'll be on the website probably, well, hopefully by this afternoon, because one of them, the last one, is at 3:00 today. So we're going to give that one out and then put them all kind of together on the website.
Great. And then people can also find you as well if they want to connect with you. You can connect with Denise
on LinkedIn.
I've got I'm messing up the microphone. Multi-purposing production here, folks. But you can find Denise on LinkedIn at Denise Fay. You can also find Denise on Facebook.com, Denise Fay online. You can tweet Denise at Denise Fay. And then you can also, I love the fact there's still some power, Denise, in Google Plus, still worth being part of. Oh, I've lost your sound now. Hold on. Let me just check what's going on with this. Oh, come down the other end. Oh, there we go. I've got you back now. Is there still?
I don't know, actually, to be honest. Like it's been a while since I've uploaded a load of stuff, because I was getting traction on it for a good while, say the early half of last year, and then nothing. And then, so because I wasn't really getting anything, I haven't really been quite active. So now I feel really bad. Sorry, Google Plus, but something I suppose to reconsider.
Yeah, and the other thing as well, I noticed, Denise, that you're on Pinterest over Instagram. Any reason why?
I am on Instagram, and I am on Pinterest as well. Look, I'm trying out a new strategy. I was on Pinterest first, right? And I thought Pinterest was really good, and I really totally enjoyed it. Then and so this is where, like, I suppose when you communicate your message, and then where do you go? So Pinterest wasn't as productive as some other platforms. Like LinkedIn was good, and so too was Facebook. So then I focused in my energies on those two. So when I saw the others drop off, I didn't really do so much with them. And saying that, I did, so I'm constantly reading, as are you. And so in terms of the podcast, I read yesterday that Pinterest is a really good strategy for the podcast. So I might actually just take that back up again, and focus on Pinterest in a little bit. But then for Instagram, I am on Instagram, and I haven't really got a strategy. That's the thing why, I suppose. So I talk with consultants and coaches on Instagram because they're there quite a bit, but I haven't really put a strategy, and that's really key to working on. That's really a key one. You need to have a strategy on all those platforms, because if you don't, then you're just kind of throwing some stuff up. Again, your message is going to get diluted. So I put some stuff up, but I don't focus completely on it.
And when you're posting all of these, Denise, are there any top couple of tools that you can multi-purpose post? Like, I know for live streams and pre-recorded videos, you can use repurpose.io or Restream that can push it out to all these different areas. Do you do similar with your podcast, the Denise Fay Let's Talk Marketing podcast? That's where you can find her.
Yeah, I'd use a mixture. I'd use Hootsuite and I'd use Buffer.
Hootsuite and Buffer. So they're two good ones. They've been around, and with the trustworthiness at the moment. Again, like I know with Be Live, my Facebook shows so little traction getting viewers out there because they're shifting to their own tools. So do you feel that even the video tools are all shifting and changing right now because of what's happening with so many people working from home?
Yeah, well, you know what? There's one person that I always go to when I talk to them about video tools, and that person's not me. So that person would be you. So I wouldn't be like, that's where I kind of rely on my community and my network and my experts that I rely on, and in terms of videos. It's interesting, and that would be you. And I'm really looking forward to turning the tables on you in a minute.
I know we probably should. So Denise, let me do can you do a kind of a wrap up on what do you feel is the most important thing right now for 2020 with everybody, with the situation going on in the world right now? Co-Vid-eoing, I'll be talking about that in a moment. But what are your top Let's Talk marketing tips from Denise Fay to wrap up today?
Okay, so to wrap up, I think what you need to do is you need to focus in on your message. Like, why are you? And why is your business so different? Because it's the differences that people are going to start noticing and really look for. And I also think that people are consumers, business to business or business to consumer, they're going to be looking for something a little bit different. And they're going to look for somebody who's different, that their buying patterns are going to change. And that's why, in terms of community, which I never answered your question. Video is so important because it will show your difference. I love obviously written text, but if you are very clear and you are so clear on your own message and on your own value and on what you offer and why it's different, then you're going to attract that community of people around you, and you're going to be able to connect with people. And video, I think, is going to be one of those tools where people will be able to connect with you. People are connecting with you, Lottie, because you've been on video for years and you're so good at it, because people can see you, they hear you, you're real to them. You're not just standoffish. You show everything about your personality. And particularly if you're focused on, say, being the head of their business, that's what you need to focus on. So focus on your message, what makes you different. It's going to be so different, and people are going to be looking at the individuality of things. Look at that, and then that will help you attract the community of raving fans. Doing a Lottie again.
We've just done it again. I'm too busy thinking about the next stage of where I'm going to pass over the hosting to this woman next door to me. If you are a raving fan, and if you've enjoyed the show here live with Lottie today, please, can you do us a favor? Subscribe to both my and Denise's YouTube channels, Facebook pages. Please share the love. We do appreciate your time for watching us, and let's now do the second half of the show, which you will be able to hear in a podcast, Let's Talk Marketing with Denise. And I am now going to change the title, put Denise on, and she's going to take over Co-Vid-eoing, collaborative connected video. Whee! Let's go to you, Denise.
Happy days. Let's talk marketing.
Hold on. Let's start that again because I was still in shock. We need you on your own first off. Go.
Hello. Welcome to the Let's Talk Marketing podcast with me, your host, Denise Fay. And this is an amazing one. I have got an amazing guest for you. We are recording this live today, and Miss Lottie Hearn has got me, she reeled me in with this idea of repurposing, how you repurpose video, which is exactly what I wanted to talk to her about. So when I approached Miss Lottie Hearn, I'm going to give you an introduction in just a second. I said, hey, Lottie, you know, one of the marketing trends that I had put forward in the Let's Talk Marketing podcast was video marketing, and you are the best at what you're the best at what you do. You're the best at what I know. So I really want you to come on board. And then you know what she said? Oh gosh, Denise, I would love to do that. But you know what? Let's do a joint one. And so now we have been recording for the last half an hour her show, or Live with Lottie, over on her YouTube channel, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But if we could get a picture of Miss Lottie Hearn and her confidence on camera on screen, because Lottie's doing all the hosting, so that's wonderful. But before I start, right, I'm going to give you this introduction to Lottie in case you don't know. We are using her channel at the moment, so people from her channel will know who she is for sure. But in case you don't know who Lottie is, she is the person that I go to for getting confidence on camera. And that is her name, like, you know, her company and her book is Confidence on Camera. But what I would like to do before I even introduce her, right, is this. I would recommend that you get the book. Now, usually I do that at the very end. I'll say, how can we find you, Lottie? But this book, Confidence on Camera, is an amazing book. And she's going to give us loads of tips about how we can be confident on camera. And I'm going to tell you all where you can find her. But Lottie I first met her a little while ago, and I'm going to read out the bio because I think I won't do her justice. So Lottie is a former president of the Professional Speakers Association, the Ireland region, and guess this, she has 30 plus years of acting, TV, training, and in speaker coaching around the world. She's the best-selling author of Confidence on Camera, which I told you that you need to get. And she's presenting any power on any size screen. So Lottie really is ideal place for this, but she's also good to tell us about live learnings and what we can do about it. What I love about Lottie is that she constantly gives back. She co-founded the first all-day virtual summit for the women and the men who virtually support us for Ladies Go Live. Now, this was back. She has been working on Ladies Go Live since 2017, before any of us did it. And I know she was a huge encourager and encouragement. Would that be the right way to say why we should all go live? And since 2016, here we go, she's generated multi-platform show appearances, including #Live with Lottie, and is now TEDx Dún Laoghaire speaker, media and mentor. We are going to talk with her about all her lives, and we're going to get her story. She's going to tell us her story because I'm not doing it justice. So I am going to press that button and I'm going to say, Miss Lottie Hearn, please come on stage, and I am delighted to have you. Who's doing a live? Lottie does this, right? She's so I could really go on. No, so whenever somebody's speaking, she mutes herself. So then I should mute myself then too. So sometimes Lottie then comes across and she, because she's muted herself, then she's like talking and I can see her talking, but then so we say she's doing a Lottie. But look at Lottie, I am so thrilled that you are here. You are amazing. I know I didn't do you justice in that bio, but we're going to talk about your story. But you are amazing. You're definitely the person that I know when I need to get confident on camera. Even my placement of my camera, we can see this on YouTube, and we're going to see more of it. You're definitely the person that I go to, and you've been doing this for so long. not to insult your age by any means or shape or form, but you're an expert at what you do. And so I'm so delighted that you said yes to being on the podcast. So welcome.
And thank you so much to Denise. And for anybody who's listening to the podcast, thank you so much for listening to that. And for those of us who are watching us live, it's always nice to start with saying thank you to people. So we have huge appreciations for your time, because I know there's a lot that's taking up time right now. And for the podcasters, those who didn't see the video earlier, I did a very sneaky thing to Denise, because I thought, I've been coached by my live stream mentors and the fabulous community that we have in our live world, whether that's on Facebook or YouTube, huge, really supportive community. We were able to get rid of trolls years ago, back on the blab days when there were tools that you could go straight to your website, to YouTube, to Facebook, to everywhere. And now everything is growing and changing so fast. The tools change daily. The trust factor can change up and down and up and down and up and down. But what doesn't change is how we actually show up on screen and how we keep that clarity of communication and the trust and the honesty that people can feel they sense in you. And that's why I really appreciate, Denise, your intro. I'm kind of like, getting all bowled over and emotional, because that's what I do when I go live. But we've all heard the sales montage, and I know you in marketing, Denise, over and over. It's the people buy from people they know, like, and trust. What I've always thrown in ever since I first started live streaming back in 2015, 2016, that was the year before Ladies Go Live, but I've been coaching TV presenters back years ago. Anyway, I can come back to that if you like. But yes, the know, like, and trust, I want to please add on to that. And an addendum to it is know, like, trust, and want to work with. Video and live tools, one take, one go, one input, multiples of products and shows and trainings, whatever you want to do with them. From one input comes a multitude of outputs when you do it properly. And it all starts with coming on with your style, your way. And I'm going to reiterate a lot of what Denise did in my Live with Lottie, the marketing show, because that's what I believe. That's why I learned a new thing yesterday. Stop, I've got the link. And I love that. Stop, I've got the link. It's what some of the school kids do with teachers. And stop, I've got the link. I loved it. So I've got the link for why confidence on camera counts. And it comes through in your voice for your podcast too.
You know what? Well, that's very nice of you to say. So I'm going to say thank you for that. However, you know what I wanted to kind of reiterate, and I think just go back to that trust. I do want people to know your story, because I think that background that you have really shows why you talk about confidence on camera. You've been on camera for 30 years, right? So, but the trust factor, and that's one thing that you had said to me before. You had said to me before that you are great on camera, Denise. I'm like, oh, really? And but yeah, so yeah, see, oh no, this way, right? So it's the trust factor. And it's interesting because when I first started, and you were one of the first people who encouraged me to start speaking. And so when I first started speaking, I got business from speaking on stage, and I was like, God, this is fantastic. And what I suppose it comes down to that trust bit, that people can see who you are. And that's so clear from your videos. And I would encourage everybody to check out #ConfidenceOnCamera, #LiveWithLottie, and then on your YouTube channel. But and I'll go all the links now, but what I want people to see is that you're so real. And I think that's why you have those high value clients that come to you looking for advice and looking for you for information about how to do this better. And then, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop talking to me, right? I'm going to stop talking to me. I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to get you to tell your story, because I love your story. I think it's amazing. And I think that kind of, look, that's all I'm going to say. go over to you. You're going to, tell us your story, and then I'm going to tap your brain. So the way you tapped my brain earlier on, I'm going to tap your brain. I've got a load of questions here for you, and I really want you to tell your story first, and then we'll pick your brain after that.
Oh, thank you, Denise. And again, we're throwing each other on the spot, but as we decided to do this as a collaborative co-produced show, I'm still producing this end while speaking. So if things come up a little bit slowly in the video, you said earlier, people are getting more accepting now, Denise, I think, as we do kind of TV style-y things. So let me just put a solo on, and then I can do what Denise just told me to do. Right, hello and welcome to my studio. This is where I produce my Live with Lottie shows, and you can see I've got the little cartoon, me and cartoon Denise Fay for the Let's Talk Marketing podcast here. I started, as Denise said, as an actress. So as an actress, when somebody says to you, how old are you? You always answer, how old would you like me to be? How much experience have you got? That's the one where I always like to think that what people are paying for, and the reason, as Denise said, I work with high value clients and I do the give back this way, doing free shows that anybody can access. And my book, Confidence on Camera, that was written in 2015. That's like I started as a professional speaker. I actually had 3 months of training at a speaker academy every Saturday for 3 months back in Australia when I was living over there. Born in the UK, did my drama degree there, went off for a year to New Zealand in my early 20s when I was 21, and was going for a year to see my family over there, that side of the world, and ended up staying New Zealand, Australia, Hong Kong, Australia, New Zealand, Australia, for 16 odd years. Till the love of my life from university came from Ireland and dragged me off the beach and brought me to the city of Dublin. And now, luckily enough, he's brought me back. The view that I've got through my studio and office door right here is of a beautiful, beautiful sea view. So I'm a bit of a global child. I used to call myself Jack of all trades, master of none. But I own that now. I'm actually Jack of all trades and an expert in a few now, because what I say to clients is you're not paying for the time that I give you in training or coaching. You're actually paying for you're investing in 30 years of knowledge and skills, awareness, retraining, recoaching myself, relearning, and working with new tools. And I think because I was an actress and then a kids TV presenter, started my TV world as a kids TV presenter, having toured around New Zealand in a show where 8 men got naked on stage every night. Oh, it was called Ladies' Night. No, it was great fun. But I went on tour with 10 guys, and it was basically where the movie The Full Monty, that was the precursor to that movie, traveling around New Zealand, New Zealand's most successful play. And when I turned up to an audition with 8 people, I thought it wasn't very much. And then I found out later there were hundreds of people that got auditioned. And there were a lot of people that really didn't like me, the little English girl who'd come into New Zealand and got the #1 prime play spot in 1991. So I traveled around New Zealand and Australia. And it was when I landed in Hong Kong, I was still acting professionally in plays on stages, and still working with a great friend of mine, Lindsay McAllister, who founded the Hong Kong Youth Arts Festival. And we were creating plays. I was producing and directing plays for her. I was appearing. She was directing me in shows as well. And that was all part and parcel of me becoming a kids' TV presenter. And I did Tube Time. So, hey kids, what's on the show? And I'd like to do a special happy birthday note for my friend Denise. She has sent in this beautiful picture over here. And she's also got a cartoon. So just for you, and as you like cartoons so much, you Denise Fay, it's Scooby-Doo Day for you. I do that sort of rubbish. So and I can see Denise giggling in the background.
You know what? I have you on mute because I've learned, that's one of the things I've learned, is that when the other person is speaking, you put them on mute, right? So that's definitely a tool for one of the ones that I've learned from Lottie. So I was on mute, but I was just laughing, and then I was thinking about the naked men on stage. I was like, woohoo!
Not fully naked. They did have G-strings on, but I used to love them because they'd always have to bring people up on stage for a bit of fun on stage. All very innocent, very fun. So the play was the story about how they happened to be doing this in the end. And I was Glenda in the gym, and then I was Zoe, the little girlfriend who was very, very nervous and very shy and got dumped. And then I'd come on at the end, and then boys would lift me up but I had my leopard skin leotard and a blonde wig, and at the end I'd be in all black and fishnets, and so much fun. But that was when I was 21.
Photographs. That's what I want.
We should put the photograph. But hey, it's a whole world later, having gone from acting to TV, then in Australia, because I couldn't get work in TV, to actually training TV presenters. That's how I kind of fell into the whole training world, and then being trained as a trainer by the biggest casting director in Australia, Fay Casting, and then actually connecting with professional speakers through the National Speakers Association Australia, which is now PSA, Professional Speaking Association Australia, which is all the kind of it's all the whole world. I love it when the whole world connects, and it's come full circle with me ending up in Ireland as president of the PSA and meeting the likes of you, Denise, and fantastic other speakers on stage, and being invited to travel around the world, speaking, coaching business teams in Europe. And actually, that's all kind of links into the confidence on camera side of things, Denise, because the change with what's happening in COVID right now, I can chat about that if you want to chat about that. But the live stream world, when I kind of found this in 2015 and became part of it in 2016, the first comment I ever got with my first YouTube video was "fat and ugly," and you go, and I suddenly went, dagger in the heart. Oh my God, I feel so about that. And then I suddenly went, hold on, that's the judgment devil sitting on the right shoulder. I need the perception angel. Thank you for the judgment and dismiss it. Thank you for the judgment and dismiss it. Thank you for the judgment and dismiss it. Allow in the perception of anybody can say and feel what they like about you because they are watching you. They have chosen to click the button and press play to watch you so they can say and feel whatever they like. Your only responsibility is how you react to it. And if you want the good, you've got to take the bad.
Okay, so what I was going to do is have you any advice? Because that would be one of the things. And I have to say, even when I talked about doing video marketing, and me, I'm like, oh gosh, I have to go online. I have to gosh, and there is that whole fear. I suppose that's the word I'm looking for, fear. So people are afraid of jumping online. Now, you obviously have been doing it for so long, and I'm so glad that you shared your story because it is amazing. And I think that's why, because obviously we're on video, right? So it's and then what I want people to do when they're listening is to hear the different intonations on your voice. We'll talk about that in a minute. I've got a question on that, but there was the intonations on your voice. And then for the people who are watching this, that's going to go on the YouTube channels, but you leaned forward, to make a point. So you did exactly what we do when we're on stage. You lean forward.
Secrets, Denise. Secret time. No, but you'll see, as I lean forward, I don't lean forward like that because nobody wants to see that, and nobody wants to see. I'm getting sick of seeing so much wasted space up here. And if I was, that's why I got Denise to adjust her camera angle. But also, if I've got the camera too high up with too much space above my head, you can see what happens with these are called the lower thirds in TV world. And if you're speaking and you're too low down, the lower third is either going to cover your chin or cover your mouth. And if you're watching this on video, I'm actually holding a triangle, my four fingers above my eyebrows and my thumbs pointed down towards my mouth. That is what we call in the TV world the golden triangle. This is where people focus on your face. If you're too low down, you make your nose the center of focus on the screen rather than the golden triangle. People look into your eyes for trust. So again, rather than looking down at the screen at myself, I'm connecting through the camera lens as if I'm talking to a real Denise who's actually sitting right opposite me with a glass of wine, maybe. Oh, that would be fantastic. So I'm allowing my imagination to play with the fact that there's a real person who's sitting there rather than I'm staring at a blank screen and forgetting to blink, because what happens when you stare is your voice goes monotone and flat and you don't breathe properly. And that's another one, if you're feeling nervous, is breathe and do something stupid to make yourself giggle. Because if you can giggle at yourself, the whole world you're giving permission to the whole world to giggle with you. And actually, in the podcast, you can probably hear in my voice, I am really actually laughing.
Yeah,
and you feel it, you sense it. It's real.
Yes. And so they are excellent tips. And I'd want people to literally stop, pause, and rewind, because they are, and if you're listening on the podcast, like stop and pause and then rewind, because they're really good. You'll see Lottie's the crown of her head, you'll see her nose, and then you'll actually kind of see me trying to do a triangle as well and kind of positioning myself. But let's go back to fear, right? Let's go back to the fear of why, because what we want to do is we want people to get started. And that's exactly what you did when you co-founded Ladies Go Live, and then you've got your confidence on camera coaching business and the all day summit. Let's go back to fear. How do we overcome the fear, and how do we become more confident on camera, just to actually be able to go, you know what, today's the day I'm going live.
Right, I'm typing at the moment, Denise, because I'm just about to change the lower third. You asked just then about how to overcome fears. I actually prefer to talk about maximizing fears, because fears are simply nervous energy. And energy is actually stolen. 30% of our energy is stolen through the camera lens. If you think about that logically, and if you think about to put a picture in your head, when you're standing on a stage, speaking, or if you're in a meeting, business meeting speaking, you are 3D. People can see you IRL, in real life, not just Ireland, in real life. But on screen, we are only 2D, because we have lost the depth perception. It's part of the reason, I'm just going to put myself up on screen solo. It's part of the reason why, as a live streamer, I use, at the moment, if you're watching the video on YouTube, I'm about to take a lens off my camera to show you, this is the close in. The feeling, the sense that you can get as a viewer is that, yes, it's still, okay, I've now cut off the top of my head, so I could set myself up lower down, but now we've lost my lovely visuals. So by simply connecting a very easy, it's an iPhone or iPad or phone fisheye camera, fisheye lens. It's a macro lens. It's called a super wide angle. By attaching that and using that, suddenly I've got more depth perception. Even with that, this camera steals 30% of your energy when you appear on screen. And part of the reason between that, why most people hate seeing themselves on screen, is because of that. We've got no depth perception. And by the way, it's a total farce and a fallacy that wearing black on screen, you lose weight. But you do need to wear block colors. And if you've got a brand color, that's brilliant. My color is usually orange, but I'm wearing blue today because that's Denise's brand color. And she's been a guest on my show, and I'm a guest on her podcast, Let's Talk Marketing podcast. So I'm matching blue with her, but I've brought a little bit of orange bling. I've brought my orange bling. But with
orange for you, for sure.
but I haven't got too close to the microphone, Denise, because what you want to avoid is anything that can, like a bracelet, clunking on desks, or microphones next to necklaces. So be simple, but be quite straightforward with your color, and brand it to brand you if you can with how you look. You need to think about overcoming your nerves, what I say, maximizing your fears. Turn your nervous energy into energizing energy. Give yourself that 30% extra energy on screen. And also, because a machine takes away 60% of your voice, so when you hear yourself recorded, you probably hear yourself like this. So you need to bring the vocal variety, because the recording takes 60% there. So boost your energy, maximize the fears by turning them into energizing energy. Does that all make sense, Denise?
Yes, that, like, so makes goals, so it does. So I love the fact that you're turning a negative into a positive for a start. I think that's great. But what I did not know was 30% of energy is stolen into the camera. I didn't know that now, and that is so interesting. And then what, 60% of energy for your voice?
Yeah, the literally just through going through machines, it's a general kind of, if you think about the 30%, 33 or whatever percent, because we've gone from 3D to 2D on screen, but on through a machine, we're mostly water and hollows. So how we hear our own voice is lovely. It's echoed all around our body, around our head. It goes through these beautiful chambers. So we hear this lovely, rich voice. That gets lost as soon as you put it through a machine.
Exactly. That's what a lot of people would actually say. They would say, oh, I hate the sound of my voice. I hate what I look like. I hate what I sound like. I'm not.
And you're normal. If you say that, you're the normal people. We're the freaks who do this.
Hey.
But on talking of freaks, that's why if you go back to the old 70s and 80s radio DJs and you listen to those, mostly men, doing the radio voice, then that's why they used to do it.
Yeah, you know what? That's so true. Okay, so that's the fear, right? So in terms of maximizing energy, what I want people to do, because we're all about like mindset, and then we're getting like, this is jam-packed with tools. So you're thinking about, instead of actually being afraid of going on camera, do it because everybody's doing it. And I'm going to talk about that, but then maximize your energy when you're on stage, when you're on stage and you're screening it. Now, I'm going to bring you back a little bit, right? Because I know that you have, as I know I said it before in your part of the show, but you have been predicting the move to live virtual training, virtual speaking for 2 years, for a long time now. So I don't know, sometimes it takes a while and something drastic like the COVID-19 pandemic to come along for people to actually hear a message. So I'm delighted to be able to have you here because you have been talking about it. But you know what? It's like a new language. Like, people are saying, are we going to be on Zoom? Are we going to be live? Are we going to be on, so even people are doing these house parties, those little app type things. What are we doing? So it's like, do we do virtual? Do we record? Do we upload? Do we download? What do we load? So it's like a new language. So can you try and actually translate it for all of us in terms of this new language, because you have been talking about it for a while. So in terms of the next step for the business. Oh, you're doing a Lottie.
Haven't unmuted the microphone there. I'm too busy producing and typing at the same time. What I always talk about, Denise, in my Live with Lottie, my TV shows, the live streams that I do on Facebook, and that's where you can find it on Facebook. If I may just pop that up there, the facebook.com Lottie Hearn TV. That's where you can find my show. And normally I'm live at 1:30 on a Friday, but we're pre-recording this through the YouTube, so it may be a little bit late this Friday, but because we've got to finish the podcast for Denise. What with the biggest difference, and I suppose this is something that we brought in with Ladies Go Live, I talk about coming on screen with a camera ready face. You don't have to show up here. Confidence, credibility, charisma. Your confidence is show up how you feel confident. If you're peeved with the boys being able to turn up here without a slap of makeup on their face, then you come with a camera ready face and you own it. Like you said in the first half of the show about marketing, Denise, it's ownership of your expertise and your confidence. Press that play button in your own brain to own what you are, the expertise you are coming on screen with. I haven't planned exactly what I'm going to say. Yes, I write a plan. That's Jen Nelson, my fellow Ladies Go Liver. She came up with her 4-step live stream life cycle. I'm actually going to be speaking that at the Professional Speaking Association event tomorrow, their first virtual event tomorrow, fully virtual. And what the live stream life cycle is basically talking about planning, producing, promoting, and repurposing your shows. So you need to have, just like Denise would tell you about a marketing plan, you need to have step-by-step plans for what you're going to do. And I also added in a 5th step of that, because I always like things in odd numbers, being the presenting side of things. Who are you going to be and how are you going to show up on screen? And I know, Denise, you'd mentioned you'd like to speak to me about the 3 V's. So I will about that in a second, if you'd like. But the most important thing I want you to take home from Denise's question. People say, what is the difference between video, virtual, webinars, live streams? What is it? There's so many different words, Lottie. There's so many different words. That's why in the live world, we simply say live. Every time you step on screen in front of a camera, think of it as if it's the one-time chance that you've got to get this core message across. Denise has already told you how you're going to write that and create that phenomenal message you want to get across. We can help you come together about video, online marketing, online marketing training. Yes, Denise is doing that right now with her new webinars that she's putting out this month. But for the video inclusion, Denise was saying in the first half of the show why it's so important to marketing is that it's that, as I said at the start, the know, like, trust, and know they want to work with you factor, because people actually get to see the whites of your eyes. So by reacting and acting in this scene, all you're doing is thinking that you are in the room with these people. It's the only difference is now that you're on a small screen. And what we do here is we have the confidence to fill the frame. So stop wasting space above your head, fill the frame. I can use big expressions and move my arms out and gesture naturally and flowingly because I've got a wide frame lens on my camera. Now, if it was a tighter shot, it would probably be here on me. I showed the people who watched the video earlier, so I'd use smaller gestures. But the thing is, all you're doing here is finding out what works for you on camera, what connects you through the camera lens, and then noticing, is there anything you're doing that might be really distracting? And the distractions for people, for things that you do all the time, can be very, very different for different people. And some people don't mind it. Some people don't care. But for other people, there are certain things that are really, really distracting. And for me, one of them is if you're wasting space above the top of your head. The other one is looking down to a camera. If you listen now, I'm going to do an exercise that I show people all the time. Just listen to how my voice changes. If you're watching me, you're going to see me stand up and look down to the camera. At the moment, I'm looking up and out to the camera. I've got my computer raised up. If I stand up, I now have to look down to the camera. And can you hear what's happening to my voice? I'm looking down to the camera. A, you might get a lovely shot up my nose. B, I've got a horrible double chin that I don't like. But C, can you hear? I've crushed my voice box completely. So simply by raising my chin and looking up and out, I'm going to sit down again now and tilt the camera down. This is what we want to avoid, massive wastes of space above the top of the head. Tilt my camera down again. By looking up and out, you give the feeling that you've got the energy and that you're at that business meeting, sitting around the board table or standing on a stage as a professional speaker. Wherever you are, put yourself in that place and bring that energy and that oomph to the screen. That gives you self-confidence. It sounds like you're credible, and bass notes, by the way, increase credibility. So use the variety in your voice. And the confidence, credibility, and charisma. Everybody's got friends somewhere. So bring your own way, your own style. You don't have to do it like me. Stop copying other people. Watch for what works for you, what you could bring on board. Old quote from the speaker's world: take the best, leave the rest. Use the best, leave the rest.
Oh, I do love that. Use the best and leave the rest. And you know what? It's
mimic. It should be. Sorry, Denise. It should be mimic the best and leave the rest.
You know what? I'm not. I can't even say anything to all that information that you're given. The fact that, and I could definitely hear the sound. And one thing I definitely want to pick up on and tell people, particularly if you're reluctant, we've spoken an awful lot about that. Okay, about your energy, but actually just to be you. That, like, you know, because I look at you and I think that you are amazing. That you just have, like, you're so expressive. Like, I'm not saying that, like, you know, to was it blow smoke up your bum, but I know. It started off with the naked men, semi-naked men, but it's just, you know what, that's just your personality. You are, like, you know, charisma personified on the screen. I would never be like, you know, like you. I only be like me. Same thing, if somebody's listening to me, they'll never be like me. They'll only be like themselves. So I think that that's one thing that people shouldn't really compare themselves. Definitely, like, I watch you and I, like, you know, and then I probably scratch my nose or something like that, right? Catch myself doing that, and I'll say, what would Lottie say? So I think that's the little bits where you could go. So those 3 C's, which I think are great: the confidence, the credibility, and the charisma. Now, I'm conscious of the time, right? And I could talk to you all day, but the very, very, very first time I heard you speak and you talked about the 3 V's. Now, we did, like, to be honest, we're after talking about quite a lot of them in there anyway. But what I want, because that kind of bowled me away, going, gosh, there is a science to this, or there is an art to this, as well as, like, you know, energizing and all that kind of stuff. So can you just quickly give us those 3 V's? Because I think for, like, particularly for the people, and you've talked them again, but again, we talk about repetition. Sometimes you just have to say it a few times for people to kind of really sink in. So can we talk about the 3 V's, please?
Certainly can, Denise. I'm going to put them as a crawler. The 3 V's that I speak about in my book, that just happens to be a couple of copies that just happen to be, and a cartoon me that was a lovely client drew for me, and my confidence, keep calm with camera on. Just happened to be lying around the studio. The 3 V's is, I actually was taught these as a speaker trainer. And when I first did my train the trainer course in Australia, I learned about the impact of the 3 V's. And I've kind of they were talking about it on stage in my stage to screen knowledge, experience, learning, and practicalities of doing it. That's where I kind of brought everything, all my learnings from what I learned as an actor, as a speaker, and as a speaker, as a presenter trainer, and a trainer doing conflict resolution, sales, you name it, trained all of that. But the 3 V's were the 3 that stuck with me. What you need to think of is, Denise, quick question. When you're planning something, and if you're going to do, whether it's a video or a speech, what do you plan first?
I plan what do I plan? I plan the outline. So I don't really speak about, like, that's not true. Sometimes I go for what I want people to hear and what people to take away.
Okay, brilliant. And thank you very much for giving me exactly the answer I wanted to hear. Basically, people plan content first. And if you're new, most people go, oh, the content. Yes, content is king and queen. Yes, content is golden. But remember, you are the expert in your world. And as Denise was saying, she needs to do it her way and come on screen her way, because the content that there are, she was saying earlier in Live with Lottie show, that the difference, what's your unique difference? The visual impact is actually the first thing that people see. This on screen is a visual medium. And I'm actually leaving Denise here on purpose, because what Denise is having to do is what we used to spend 15 minutes coaching TV presenters to do, is your reaction noddies. while you're listening to somebody else to make it look like you are really paying attention to what they're saying. Now, Denise may be looking at you through the camera lens, making it feel like you're connected. Or Denise may be looking at me on screen. She can look at either, but if she wants you as a viewer, you're not an audience. You are talking one-to-one with one person at a time. Even if you've got millions of viewers, you are still connecting through to you, one person at a time. So Denise might be doing, or you might have seen me do when Denise is going, she might do some funny gestures that actually attract your attention to her. That absolutely works. If I say something that I'm hoping is going to be funny, then Denise is going to guide you without you even realize subliminally that you are being guided to giggle, to smile. Denise might look down and type something that is a subliminal guidance to you as a viewer. Oh, it would be nice if I interacted now. Oh, I could make a comment. Oh, I could go and do what they've asked me to do. I could go and interact, because all of this 3V impact is about how can you engage, connect with, and collaborate to create interaction with your viewers. So the visual impact, this is a visual medium. What will people see? So this has the most impact, and this is actually where I want you to start. Once you're used to knowing how you're going to appear on screen, how you're going to show up on screen, as we say in the live world, and you've set everything right, and you've dressed your set, and you've got your colors, and you've got your jewels are more important. And the only thing for women, lipstick and mascara, they're the two most important things if you're going to wear makeup. And men, if you happen to be follically challenged, a little bit of powder on your shiny top of your head. But the lighting, the audio, this is all included in the visual impact. In my book, I talk about it really as the confidence for you. But now with the live stream world being so big, I published that in 2015, bestseller in 2015, woo, in Ireland. But it is still available on Amazon. The visual impact first. Then I want you to start playing with your voice. I said a moment ago, bass notes give credibility. They give a feeling. I want you to think, for anybody watching English TV or British TV, David Attenborough, rather than Scooby-Doo. Okay, we want, now if your voice, if you are Asian, I used to do voiceovers for the Chinese government when I lived in Hong Kong, and they think in Asia that light and breezy voices for a woman are the way to behave, and this voice is the correct voice for a woman. But in the Western world, where we've had men running business and men being in charge for so many years, then we like bass notes. So ladies, you need to practice vocal variety, and men, please, not all business has to be dull, boring business. So just because it's serious business doesn't mean that everything has to sound so serious. So for you, men, boys, lads, bring a bit of fun into your voice and find your high notes. That's vocal variety, and vocal variety equates to interest. Again, I'm talking all subliminal messages that come through that we don't even realize are happening to us when we're watching as a viewer. And the reason I say viewer, Denise, rather than audience, because I know you as a professional speaker and us on stages, we're used to audiences. With an audience, you get to feel their impact, feel that connection. Are they giggling? Are they smiling at you? Is there interaction? When we're live, we know nothing. Unless you've got a wonderful viewer, the viewer you want to see, as my friend RJ Redden, be the viewer you want to see, RJ Redden always says. Unless you have a viewer who's being I watched actually Brian Fanzo last night was saying, have your champion, have somebody who's there, who is typing comments for you, get a team of people behind you. And that can then help you. That all links in nicely with the verbal impact. Yes, that's your content. I'm not going to speak to you about your content because you are the expert in your field. I know what I'm doing. That's why I can just go, oh, here's my notes, but we've gone off on a tangent. But the whole point with this is always remember, for your confidence, credibility, charisma, the verbal impact comes from you trusting this. You created all of this. If you're a business person and you're going into a webinar or a business meeting, you have been invited or asked to speak because you are the leader in your field, whether that is a team or whether that's the receptionist who's doing a welcome video for your business. She's the wonderful smiley face who knows how to answer the phone better than you do. So in your Zoom meetings, in the team meetings, please turn up proper. No, have your water with you. No nipping off to the loo, because yes, you are on camera all the time. And also have the respect for and give the due to everybody who has turned up there. They are the experts in their field. So the easy way I say, if you want to remember it, always know how you're going to start. Always know how you're going to finish. So first line, last line, I call it working A to B. It's ups and downs in between. But basically, all people want to know is why, what, how, or how, why, what. But your journey from the way you start and up and down through the links with the content that goes to a big swoop up finale to the end, and the end links back to the beginning. So not only are you doing a okay sign and a rabbit, you're also putting a smile on your palm. So that's one of the ways that you can remember what it is you want to say. But if you do have notes, never crop your shot in close so that I could have these notes down here. You can't see actually the absolute mess of stuff I've got on my desk because I've cropped it out of shot. But I also have a board where I can prop these notes up just behind my microphone so I can very easily see them. And that's all part and parcel of what I call prep for live style presenting. Show up on screen, and it's all part of the what I call Co-Video way of speaking, is the respect for everybody. Many people are afraid of doing this. So think of your 3 V's. Have you got a great visual impact? Are you using vocal variety? Vocal variety equals interest, what we hear. And then the verbal, the words you choose to use. And when you think of that, you need to finish with what interaction engagement do you want? What will viewers do as a result? Actually, what will viewers feel, say, or do as a result of watching you? And does that all make sense, Denise?
You know what, you're just after bringing, so for the people who are listening, so what Lottie had done was she was using her handprint and starting off with the top of her thumb and finishing off with the top of her little pinky finger. And really what you're after doing is actually bringing it close for right to close. For me, I don't even need to close the show, but I will. But what I started with was how do you overcome the fear of pressing that live button? And what you're after doing in the last hour would be to help us actually get over our fear, how we can maximize our energy while we're here. Think about how we can be confident, how we can actually show our charisma. I think that's so important. And then how we can also visually represent ourselves, because I think the words are there for sure, and the tone and how we can place ourselves like this, because obviously we can't do that. Nobody really wants to see my total wrinkles. I certainly don't, right? So I'm not going to be showing them off too much.
Beautiful.
So I think that, there's just this podcast has just been jam-packed with tips. And I think it's definitely one where people will stop, record, stop, rewind, stop, rewind, stop, rewind. And I think that that's a credit to you and a credit to your ability to show how we can all be more confident on camera. So now, Lottie, how we can find you. I can see that there's on screen.
I've just been very sneaky and stuck up some of my hashtags. Live with Lottie. If you Google Live with Lottie, in most places you'll find me there. Interestingly enough, you were saying earlier that people stop copying other people. There have been a number of other Live with Lotties. I've just very gently gone to them and said, oh, by the way, just in case you don't want any confusion, I've been doing Live with Lottie since 2016. So Live with Lottie Bridal is now out, and there's another Live with Lottie, and she's there. That's for a band. So if you are picking a name or a hashtag or a brand, do your research, make sure that nobody else has got it first. That's if you're setting up business. You can find me on YouTube. It's again Live with Lottie, #confidence on camera, Lottie Hearn video coach, or press play video coach, because that's where I started with my YouTube, because you got to press play on yourself to come on camera. You've got to be a big kid and have a bit of fun. Hence why I'm just pointing diagonally down to the picture of the cartoon Lottie. Bring your fun, bring your silliness, bring your playfulness, and press play on you when you come on screen. But Facebook Lottie Hearn TV, I'm going to put the whole of this show up on there this afternoon, even though we've gone past 1:30.
I know, I'm looking at it's so exciting. We've been talking for ages. But on that note, I am going to say a huge thank you for showing up and giving us your best self. As always, you were just so generous with your time and your knowledge, and I'm forever grateful. So thank you for that, because you've done the wrap up, and when I do the show notes, all the links will be there. But you really want people to, like, let's subscribe. I'm going to be subscribing to your YouTube channel as soon as I hang up, if I'm not on one already. And because you're going to be sharing us so much good information like this. I think it's amazing. So Miss Lottie Hearn, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And just last thing to close on the experts, remember, live streaming and video doesn't just stop at work and business. You might be able to create yourself your own TV network. So get the binging on. That's all happening in Netflix. And to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all for watching. And hope this co-video show that we've done all about confidence on camera with special guest host, the first time we've done it, Denise Fay at denisefay.com with her Let's Talk Marketing podcast. Let's wrap it up. I think we need to say a cheers, and I'll join you on the balcony for a virtual party afterwards, Denise. Thanks all very much. Take care of yourselves out there, everybody.